Welcome, beautiful soul. We are so glad you're here. This is Lunar Living, a weekly gathering where astrology becomes lived experience, the moon becomes a trusted guide, and every cycle invites us deeper into connection with ourselves, with one another, and with life itself. Whether you're joining us on your morning walk, with a cup of tea, or beneath the night sky, let's just take a deep breath and just allow yourself to arrive as you are. This isn't about predicting life. This is about learning to live in rhythm with it.
Each week, we will explore the current astrology, the wisdom of the moon, and the energetic invitations unfolding around us, translating the language of the cosmos into practical guidance that you can actually live. And together, we will help you understand not only what is happening in the sky, but why it matters and how it might be showing up in your relationships, your emotions, your body, and your everyday life.
And we'll weave those insights into embodied practices, personal reflections, and relational awareness, because transformation doesn't just happen through information, it requires our experience. So, our intention is to help you use this wisdom to remember your wholeness and expand your capacity for growth, ease, and joyful living. Wherever you are, welcome. I'm Kalina Casa, founder of Satmam and creator of Lunar Living. For decades, I've explored what it means to live in rhythm, the moon, with my own body, with nature, and with others. I weave cyclical wisdom, embodied practice, and relational awareness so we can expand our capacity for meaningful connection with ourselves and our world.
I am Eleni Prinsloo, astrologer, healer, and intuitive coach, and I love translating the wisdom of astrology into grounded, practical insights that helps people navigate life with greater clarity, trust, and self-awareness. And together we will explore the gifts, challenges, and invitations held within each week's cosmic landscape, making the heavens feel personal, accessible, and deeply supportive. We're so grateful that you're here.
Welcome to Lunar Living.
So this week, Kalina, we are going to be talking about the astrology for the 13th of July until the 19th of July. And on Monday, the 13th, we start the week with a Mercury retrograde and Sun conjunction. And this is known as a Cazimi, meaning the heart of the sun. So Cazimi is an exact degree when a planet and the sun come together and they are at the exact degree down to the minute. It means that the sun, this planet becomes part of the sun, and it means that this planet then enters into the heart of the sun. And so in another way to explain this or say this is that the sun sort of overpowers that other planet in a way, and other astrologers would also refer to it as the sun burns away the other planet. But I prefer the planet moves into the heart of the sun expression. That's more in alignment with me and what I like to kind of work with. So Mercury, we know, is currently retrograde in Cancer, and as the astrology that I want to be using specifically is the evolutionary and esoteric perspectives. So Mercury, we know, rules our perception, and when a planet is in retrograde, especially Mercury, it asks us to perceive differently. And in Cancer, Mercury isn't reviewing logic. It is reviewing our childhood memories, emotional habits, behaviors, our family conditioning, inherited beliefs, our attachment styles, our love languages, our unconscious, subconscious behaviors. From an evolutionary perspective, Cancer is the storage place of our emotional karma and our sort of ancestral and collective karma. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it goes into the underworld. So the mind is on an underworld journey. It is going into the subconscious, into the unconscious, doing the shadow work that is required at this time to be able to bring to the light the information that will help us move forward when Mercury stations and goes forward again, right? So Mercury here will start to kind of file through our, like I've just mentioned, our attachment styles, unconscious narratives, subconscious beliefs, emotional wounds, inherited scarcity consciousness, especially around the victim mentality. If you're naturally somebody that was creative when you were a kid, your parents might have told you that, or convinced you that you're not. And so it's almost like an exploration of looking at the suppressed, repressed, hidden parts of self that we have either shamed or denied or essentially just hidden.
Mm.
And seeing that it is in Cancer, it's all about our intuition and our psychic capacities and our gifts and our sensitivity and our creativity. And so Mercury will allow us to see the places in ourselves where we are afraid to be seen, where we are afraid to be vulnerable, where we are afraid to express ourselves creatively, where we are afraid to share our natural psychic and intuitive gifts with the world, where we are afraid to show our autistic capacity or skills. So all of these different themes may be coming up and around this week. So this is sort of the starting point of the week. And so um, we know that Mercury rules thought, right? And from an esoteric and evolutionary perspective, Cancer also rules memory. It stores memory. So this is why a lot of these unconscious, subconscious memories are going to be popping up like mushrooms, kind of just out of nowhere. Here they are. Here this is. Here's that old trigger again. Here's that old wound again. Or here's that rejection again. Or here's that, there's that thing around not wanting to ask for help again. Or here's that thing, of like being, here's that thing with my dad again. And so all of these old things come up to the surface. Old conversations, old dreams, old experiences, old memories, old emotional wound, old childhood things, people from our past, distant family members, all of these kind of things may come forward again because we are retrieving unfinished emotional, I want to say material, almost in like,
Baggage came to mind.
yeah,
Old
we get,
emotional baggage.
yeah, exactly, old emotional baggage, right? Like and I don't want to call it baggage, but it's like we get to,
Right.
we're given an opportunity to see where we still have unfinished business. Where have we not fully and completely dealt with these things, right? So a lot of people will say, oh, I've healed this wound with my father, so why does it keep coming up? And it's because, well, you haven't healed the wound with your father fully and completely. Otherwise, it would not continuously be coming up because we're made up of 4 layers, right? We've got the physical body that stores and holds memory, the nervous system. Then we have the emotional body. Then we have the mental body. And then we have the spiritual and the energetic body. And so the healing has to happen through all of these bodies in order for the healing to actually fully be complete. So if there is this is why, they say the onion, like it's another layer and another layer and another layer, right? But ultimately, it is so that we can start to see, okay, have I healed this imprint physically? Have I healed this imprint emotionally? Have I healed this imprint mentally? Have I healed this imprint energetically or spiritually? Do I still carry this memory, this emotion, this trauma, this wound, this experience in my energy body? So my mind may have dealt with it. Emotionally, I may have dealt with it, but it's still lingering in my energy. And so I need to give that energy back to that time so that I can release the energy from my field. So there's different reasons why these things, come up. And it's also so that we can start to see um, where we need to still integrate. Because sometimes we can do the work, but we haven't fully integrated the experience. We haven't fully integrated the lesson, the wisdom, right, that comes from it. And so sometimes these things come back around so that we have time to actually integrate what happened before. All the healing that we've done, all the work that we've done, the psychology, the betterment, the whatever you want to call it, like all the stuff that we've already done to deal with these things. But we may not have given it time to fully integrate and to acclimatize. And so these opportunities come back around so that we can actually integrate them more and more and more.
Yeah,
So
and we may have done all the processes and done the journey, except we may have not have reclaimed who we are in relationship with that again. So until we are being our healed self in relationship to others, there's still a piece that's missing there. So what I'm getting from this whole Mercury retrograde in Cancer is a reclamation of that one thing from your childhood that was too much for the world to receive you in. Your sensitivity, your creativity. It's probably a feminine gift inside you, whether you're masculine or feminine body. Noticing that one thing, it came up this morning with my son, his sensitivity. He's a Pisces. And men that are sensitive get smushed into being less sensitive. So what was it for you? There's something like that wants to be reclaimed here with all the Cancerian energy, and it wants you to rehome it inside yourself.
yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful way to put it. Rehome it. Yeah, I like that word. Yes, exactly. And what I will also say from an esoteric perspective is Mercury also represents that illumined mind, right? Like it represents the psychopomp, it represents the messenger. So Mercury going into the underworld, going into the shadow, going into the subconscious will help us to meet the darker parts of our mind. So all the things that you think and believe about yourself that you don't like, all these conversations that we have and say, we avoid the darker parts of our minds, right? Like the parts of us that are taboo, parts of us
Or the
that are
parts that are always projecting negativity onto somebody else.
yeah,
Somebody else caused this to be the problem. So whether we're putting it at ourselves or at somebody else, if it's at something, we're not complete with that process yet. It has not totally settled.
precisely. And it's time to make peace and meet the darker parts of yourself. And avoid, like, I don't want to say that it's like it's just toxic positivity, like just think positive and everything will be fine. And like, I'm not saying that that isn't valid, and of course it's valid, because we do need to have a more positive perspective and positive outlook. We understand that when you think positively, everything shifts in gratitude and all that stuff. But we are made of two coins. We live in a dualistic world. We are shadow and light. We are human and soul. Like, we have the darker parts of our psyche that we need to meet. And Mercury going into retrograde, into the underworld, into this part is the Cancerian wounds, like you were saying, right? It's a karmic memory. It's a soul memory. It's a cellular memory. It's the parts of us that are stuck in victimization. That
So
are
if we
afraid.
have like an activation of a negative or shadow emotion like jealousy or something per se, it's not a good time to just like, okay, let me just think positive. Let me just think positive. It's a time to say, okay, where is this coming from? What part of me is feeling the need to be nurtured right now? What part of me was wounded? How did this wound come up? Just, asking ourselves those little questions and being open for an answer to drop in, because that's how the universe works: question, answer, question, answer. So if we don't try to orchestrate the answer, we're just kind of receptive to whatever weird thing may come through, then it's readily available for us to kind of work with.
Yeah. And it's time to stop avoiding having the hard conversations with the parts of yourself that you don't like, especially around, the fear of being vulnerable. People associate vulnerability with emotionality, and that, like, oh no, I can't show what I'm feeling because if people see me crying or if people know what I'm feeling, then all of a sudden I'm vulnerable. And it's like, no, you're vulnerable if you're, a naked human in the middle of the desert under the sun without water. That's you being vulnerable. You crying or showing your emotions is not you being vulnerable. So the story that we have around, if I show my emotions, all of my emotions, the good, the bad, the ugly, then that makes me vulnerable so that what people can take, it's because of this like rejection wound, right? Like if I show my true feelings and my true emotions, then people are going to make fun of me, reject me, harm me, hurt me. And then we suppress our emotions and we put up these massive walls around ourselves and we walk through life becoming numb because we're afraid that if I do feel all of my emotions, if I do meet the parts of myself that have been suppressed and hidden and repressed, then something bad is going to happen. But the invitation is when these things are coming up this week, and whilst Mercury is still going to be in retrograde for a while, so give or take for the next 2 weeks, if you have a lot of these sort of old childhood wounds and all of these old things coming up for you, I'm so sorry about my dogs. Can't help it. Um, they tend to bark at pretty much everything and everyone that walks past the gate this time of the afternoon. They they seem to find joy out of chasing people away from the house. So, but the
They really
important,
do, though. So
yeah,
much joy.
yeah, it's like stay away from my house, bitches. Um, so, but I feel like the invitation, and I think it's really important to just kind of realize is that Mercury dissolves into the sun, right? And this is where that individual mind dissolves into an illuminated consciousness. So whilst Mercury is in retrograde and whilst all of this is happening and what we've just spoken about, why all of these things are coming up, right? Like all the old wounds, the shadows, the parts of us that we need to actually have a conversation with. The parts of us that are angry, the parts of us that are depressed, the parts of us that are sad, the parts of us that are resentful, jealous, bitter, angry, frustrated. Like we can't keep pretending that they are not inside of us. We have to meet them. We have to bring light to them so that they can be freed, so that they can be illuminated, right? So that they can move into the heart of the king and receive light, receive healing. The sun is the ruler of the heart. So when the planet, the psychopomp, the messenger, is in the underworld and it moves straight into the very heart of the king, into the heart of the sun, all of these egoic, wounded beliefs can dissolve in the light of the sun. So we can bring profound healing to these parts of self, but we have to see them. We have to shine the light onto them. And we have to meet these parts of ourselves and bring them into our heart and sit with it and have a conversation with these parts, bring them home, do the inner child work, do the stories, like allow the ego to be burnt away, if that makes sense, right? Like allow the part of us that is too proud or I don't know, too angry or too resentful or too bitter or too feared or too afraid to move forward or to deal with these things, right? Allow the ego self that is not in service to our highest good, right? Allow that part to be burnt away. Let it be dissolved in the light of the sun.
And we can do that not forcefully. We can do that just with our awareness, the awareness of, what's coming through for us, the reality of those, shadow aspects or whatever, not confronting the shadow like we're fighting the shadow. That's a part of your sweet inner child atmosphere that got put away and repressed. So it's really welcoming, however it shows up right now, welcoming that aspect of ourselves back in whatever form it looks like. Because it may, when parts of myself come out of the shadow, they don't always look like the radiant self that, I try to welcome them back to. They may be, this, in my brain, this kind of gnarly,
Oh,
yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas version of myself. And just like, being my adult self and being the essence that was never there for my child self. That's just simple inner child work right there. And we can do it just as it comes up. We don't have to spend days, catering to our inner child. If you notice with children, once you hit that spot and you show up in the way that they needed, it swaps instantaneously. They don't hold on to it and perpetuate it and perpetuate it. Once you've served that spot that was the need, it shifts immediately. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's interesting we have so much Cancer energy starting off this week too, because you're talking about Mercury retrograde in Cancer, the moon's in Cancer for the dark moon when we start on Sunday, and then the new moon.
It's all Cancer.
Sorry, was no Monday. Tuesday's the new moon. So,
Yeah,
but all
Tuesday.
this is Cancer energy. Is the sun's still in Cancer too?
Yeah, exactly. So
A lot of
yeah,
Cancer.
so part of this cycle that Mercury also, is bringing in for us with the new moon is that it's not an external thing. It's not that something happens in the external and we have the moment of revelation, right? It's an internal shift that comes out of sort of nowhere. Like, oh my God, I finally see the pattern. Oh, I finally understand. I've been living this thing for years. I finally know where it's coming from, right? Like there's new information because again, it's like all of that stuff that's been under the surface is being brought into the light to be seen, to be integrated, to be dealt with, to be healed, and to be brought into the heart for love and integration.
Mm.
So that we get to call back the fragmented parts of us, like Osiris, the myth in Osiris, where it's like he was dismembered, right? And he was scattered into different pieces. And the mother, Cancer, Isis, brought him back. She put back all of the broken parts, the dismembered parts of him, the fragmented parts of him. So she took all of the subconscious, unconscious, archetypal shadow wounds and she brought them back into oneness. She nurtured them back. She healed them back into oneness.
Mm.
We have the opportunity to do that this week for ourselves. So it's really important because yeah, I think that it's a really powerful this is a really powerful week, especially considering Sunday, then the 19th, we've got a crazy astrological event. But Tuesday we have the new moon coming like directly after the Cazimi happens, Mercury and the Sun Cazimi. Like the next day the moon is there, right? And then so we have the sun, the mind, Mercury, and the moon. Again, the moon also represents our subconscious. So now we have Mercury that was just blasted in the light of the sun. We have sudden insights, ideas, inspirations, revelations. And then the unconscious parts of us, the subconscious parts of us, and the conscious parts of us help to bring the ego on board. We get to heal the fragmented beliefs and parts of ourselves that we've been suppressing or avoiding for a long time, right? So this new moon helps us to plant, if you will, a new emotional awareness where our mind and our emotions can start to regulate and work together. It's a co-regulation. So
I
the
love
ego
that. It's
and the
beautiful.
emotional body, the mental and the emotional body are now able to come into alignment. So it's
And
big.
in order to do that, we have to be more aware of our own kind of emotional setting. Some of us are very connected with our emotions. Some of us are very disconnected with our emotions. So just noticing, like, does it take like a big event to activate your emotions, like a big sporting event? Are your emotions carried by the group emotion, or are your emotions very individualistic and triggered easily? So just noticing like personal paradigm that has a lot to do with your childhood, the spaces that you had to be in even as an adult. If you're in crisis situations as a child or as an adult, our emotions can either be highly triggered or highly repressed. So, allowing whichever end of the spectrum we find ourselves at, just be aware of it and this is the opportunity. Our awareness is going to help shuttle it back into how we healthfully channel it. There we go. Thank you.
What I like about this particular new moon is that we have these three consciousness, right? We've got the mind, Mercury, how we think and how we speak and how we process information and how we communicate. And then we have the sun that represents the personality and the consciousness. And then we have the moon, which is in esoteric astrology, the prison of the soul. Because the moon is where we have all of our subconscious, unconscious hidden things that prevent us from fully expressing ourselves. And what I love about this configuration is that we have the understanding first, right? Mercury. We get the insight. We get the idea, we get the downloads, we get to meet these different parts of self, these ideas, these beliefs, these constructs, the stories that we've been repeating. And then we get to align our emotional body. We get to free ourselves from these suppressed, repressed aspects of self that, may be keeping us small, keeping us stuck. And we can shine more. We can be more illuminated in our natural sensitivity, creativity, in our intuition, in our psychic abilities, in our gifts, our creativity, our nurturing, our caring, our mothering. So it's really beautiful in its highest evolution, right? In its highest evolution, it really is like moving from the belief, Mercury, that, oh, I need to be safe, which represents Cancer, to no, I create safety within myself, for myself. So there's a really beautiful sense of empowerment because we actually get to see that we are no longer seeking a mother outside of ourselves, but that we are our own internal mother, right? We get to parent that back. And so we can do so many beautiful practices where we get to meet all aspects of our inner children, our protectors, our managers, our firefighters, right? If you're into family constellation therapy, like you get to meet all the different archetypes within you. You can have conversations with them this whole week. There's no separation between, oh, do this on Monday, do this on Tuesday. No, it's a whole week of I can look at my inner landscape and I can start to take out the weeds. And then I can start to bring more light through, more healing, more compassion, more love. And I can heal not only my own childhood memory, but I can also heal for my lineage and my ancestral line. I can heal past life issues that I've been carrying because the messenger, the psychopomp, is there. Mercury will help me to translate this. Mercury will be able to bring me such deep healing that it's on a cellular level. If I work with it, if I allow myself to meet these different parts of me, the parts that are afraid, the parts that do want to, run away. And it's just being in a space of active intelligence. So actively participating in universal intelligence, expressing your mind and your own consciousness through form and through experience and through transparency. So stop running away from yourself. Meet yourself. Become transparent. Let other people see you also. And that is how you start to let go of all of the old emotional conditioning and you actually start to heal. So maybe a couple of questions that you can sit with, journal, meditate upon, feel into for yourself, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the whole week, pretty much up until Sunday. So, what are some of the emotional stories that that you've mistaken for a part of your identity? So like, Let's say that, something happened to you when you were a kid. So how did that experience become who you are? So let's just say that, I'm like the phrase, like I'm a survivor of abuse, right? Let's use that as an example. I mean, no disrespect to anybody. I'm just using it as an example. So people carry that around as a badge of honor, like I'm a survivor.
But it also anchors itself into our nervous system when we
Yeah,
choose a label.
yeah. So be
Yeah.
careful, right? And this is kind of the thing. It's like if you went through an experience, you came out the other end, and now all of a sudden that's who you are. It's part of your character, it's part of your identity. And so looking at these, what emotional stories, right, have we started taking as a part of our identity? Um, what childhood memories still define my current choices? Like what experiences in my past are still to this day defining the choices that I make right now? What beliefs about love did I inherit rather than consciously choose? What beliefs around safety did I inherit rather than choose? What ancestral pattern ends with you? Is it scarcity? Is it love? Is it relationship? What is it? What is the ancestral pattern that ends with you?
Mm.
You
And we
know?
don't have to have the solution. We just need the awareness. The universe is coming through, the cosmos is supporting the solution with our opening awareness.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, I just want to drop in one last question. Like, what is a new emotional atmosphere that you are ready to create within yourself? What is a new emotional atmosphere that you are ready to create within yourself? What do you want that to feel like? Because the deeper initiation is moving from remembering and reliving all of these wounds to remembering all of our truth and our essence. So reclaiming, building ourselves back into oneness, into wholeness. So going on a mission to, be like Isis, be like Isis, go on a mission and go and call back all these lost parts of you, the parts of you that used to be creative and caring and compassionate and sensitive and sweet and loving and nurturing, these parts that you've scattered amongst the wind. Call them back, bring them back, integrate them, make them whole, you know? So now it's remembering your essence rather than remembering your wounds or your traumas or your triggers, right? So what is the
And
truth?
remembering our essence is the power. Like we've given
Exactly.
the wounds the power for so long, but our
Exactly.
essence is who we are. So it's just reassigning our identity back to what was innate to us before whatever traumas, big T's or little T's happen. Doesn't matter the size of the T in the trauma.
Yeah, precisely. And everything is an experience. It's like life is one big experience. If we look at it differently and we change the perspective, right? It's not something that happened to
Absolutely.
me. It was just something that I experienced. It shifts
Our
the
divine selves aren't trying to limit the experience. We're receiving experiences so we can use our consciousness to hone what we want to cultivate rather than feel like we're being just bounced from same experience to same experience. And in the awareness that we're talking about and opening, being present to what's coming through, we get the opportunity to shift it instead of stay in the whole victim cycle. This keeps happening to me thing,
yeah,
which will take over our psyche just because there's something there that's not healed.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I was just thinking though, when on Wednesday, Thursday, the moon moves into Leo, and that gives us a beautiful time to think about, you just said, um, something about what is the emotional space I want to cultivate, I want to live in. I don't remember exactly how you said that, but that feels like Wednesday, Thursday, the Leo energy, the moon could help us with that.
Yeah, and so I just want to just round up this thing with like, I just feel like I just want to come back to this because Mercury being in retrograde in Cancer allows us to go into the hall of records within ourselves, right? We get to walk along the path of memory, of childhood memory. Like we get to skip along the path of memory, right? That Cazimi brings all of that soul, that light, and it burns away anything that doesn't serve, all the fear, all the insecurity, all that stuff, right? Then the new moon helps us to plant new emotional, like it helps to put new life into our emotional bodies so that when we release what needs to be released, we can plant new seeds, right, into the womb, into the fertile soil. We can plant that in a new way of feeling, relating, belonging, right? And then at the same time, whilst all of this is going on, the bigger and the deeper purpose is that we can create something beautiful, not just by what we think, but by the emotional atmosphere, right, that we want to be creating from. So we get to really balance that emotional and mental body. And then once the moon moves into Leo, the moon with because the sun, Leo is ruled by the sun, and then we have Jupiter sitting at the early degree. So the moon has now gone into the underworld, right? It's gone through the emotional body. It's bringing up all the stuff that needs to be seen. We've got a lot of healing that can take place, a lot of information that can come through. And half the time, you don't have to work at it too. You don't have to work hard to see what is there because Mercury will do it for you. He will, like I say, it's like mushrooms. It'll just pop up out of nowhere and you're like, oh, that's that thing. Oh, wow. And through the awareness of it, it already starts to heal. It already starts to change. It already starts to integrate. So meet these parts consciously and the healing will be very quick. And it's not just healing. The word healing is also maybe not the right word because it's like the integration, the insight, the wisdom, the information. Um, all of these things will start to make more sense and it will start to come back, right? And then when the
I'm going from like wound to embodied wisdom.
yeah, exactly. And creative and like tapping in and allowing yourself to be in your emotions. Because then you're moving out of that, right? Like you've come out the underworld. You're into Leo. Now it's time to shine, right? Like to again, luminary. Leo is a luminary. So we're out of the oceans, we're out of the waters, and we're moving up. We're moving up. We're moving up, right? We're moving up towards the sun, Icarus. Like you can think of Mercury as Hermes. He's in the underworld, and now he's kind of like flying up towards the sun with new consciousness, new awareness, new insight, new information that will help us to grow and expand and become more of who we authentically are, which is Leo. So yeah, it's a really beautiful combination. And then towards the end of the week on the 19th, we have a zinger of a day. I don't know how to process any of what is happening on that chart. I've never felt or experienced anything like that. I am at a complete loss for words. I don't know how to translate it into language. We have 5 planets. The moon is one of them, forming a pentagram, which is a rare astrological configuration. Technically, it's known as the Seal of Solomon or the Star of David, but we're missing the 6th point, so it's a five-pointed star. We've also got a mystic rectangle. We've got a mini trine, which is like a talent trine. And then we've also got like a basket formation, which is unbelievably rare. And it's all happening between 5 planets. So 5 planets are creating multiple rare formations and aspects with each other in the sky. And I don't know how to process that. I actually don't know what to tell you because I don't know how to put it into a language that my brain will completely understand. All I know when I feel into it is that it is colossal. It is something that is It's irrevocable change. It is something that is completely new. It is foreign. It is not something that's going to happen on one day, but it will be. I feel like this is a really exceptional year time that we as a collective are in, with all of the planetary configurations and aspects and things that haven't happened for thousands and thousands and thousands of years that are all happening now. I don't think anybody needs to be afraid. I don't think that this is ushering in anything that we need to be scared of. I don't think that we're in a time where we need to be fearful. I think this is a time of rapid revolution and evolution, and I do believe that whatever is happening is something that we have all agreed to experience collectively. But it is incredibly powerful, and it feels gigantic. Like the magnitude of this is enormous. So I'm very excited. And I'm also kind of nervous because I'm like, I don't really quite know what to expect, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the week, and we'll do a short little separate video for that at a later stage where we speak about the different aspects and why they are important. Because I think once you understand the rare configuration that these 5 planets are making all at the same time, it's kind of wild that 5 planets are creating like 3 crazy rare aspects and configurations that, in the same sign, at the same degree, at the same angle.
Interesting.
But they're literally creating 3 different kinds of geometric pattern and shape in the sky. So it's like layer upon layer upon layer. So it's like the third dimension. It's like, I don't know. Like I say, it's so cosmic to me that I don't even know how to put language to it. So it's
Right.
really,
If it was just the basket or just the mystic rectangle or just the trines, they would be something to speak to. But when you layer all of those on top of each other,
yeah, exactly.
and maybe that's the point of it too. And also, just before that, the moon moves through Virgo. And
Yeah.
on Sunday, the moon lands in Libra, balancing.
Yeah. And this is part of all of these different configurations is the moon is the handle of the basket. The moon is part of the 5-pointed star, and the moon happens to be in Libra. And what is Libra other than balance? Peace,
Mhm.
equality, justice, righteousness, fairness.
Mhm.
So I
And just
think
before
that
that in Virgo,
is
sorry,
big.
go ahead. Just before that in Virgo, before speaking with Eleni, and she's helped me recalibrate around Virgo a little bit, we've got this great divine feminine energy through the whole week, it feels very nurturing, very anyway, the word's not coming, but there's a divine feminine aspect that's carrying us through the whole week.
Yeah,
So with me in Virgo, there's, make sure not to get overcritical about things and dive into the earthy presence of Virgo. And then the Libra comes in with balance. So
yeah, exactly. I like the way that the moon is moving because it does give us this like, deep Isis mother nurture energy, and then it moves into the sun where it's like this really like Sekhmet kind of fire energy where it's like, we're gonna kind of like just like fuck up anything that doesn't fit anymore in a way, but in a good way, right? In a good way. And then we move into Demeter,
like all
Ceres,
the stuff
like
you've been
goddess of fire.
trying to release, but it still bothers you a little bit, and it's the little thing might come in. This is like really giving you like supporting stuff to really let go,
Yeah,
let go.
exactly. There's the like,
Um,
and that's the thing, the moon energy. It's very Cancer is deeply nourishing, and then the sun is very fierce and very fiery, and then Virgo is very like earthy and very like it's Demeter. She's the goddess of harvest and abundance and prosperity and medicine and
mhm.
healing. And so by the time that we get to this massive day where everything, the moon is now in the sign of Libra, where it's balance, and equality. It's like we've gone through the shadow with the moon and Cancer, and like meeting the fragmented aspects of self, calling all of these
Right.
different
In the dark moon
harm.
and the new moon. It's just, I just have to be like, it's just the way it coincides is like obviously way beyond something we could plan.
Exactly. So it's like it's really, really, really like my invitation is shadow work, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work for as much as you can. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like get in there.
Which really just means personal awareness and accountability, not being hard on yourself. And then the embodiment portion of that is keep it soft on yourself,
Yeah.
especially when you notice stuff coming up that you've previously judged. Notice if your body's getting intense and
Meet
if you can
part.
just soften, right?
Meet them, sit with
And
them,
we
talk to
were we were talking before this about how this Mars Uranus energy, since that came in over the last week, how it's kind of shifted and the energy feels a little bit more, it
them.
feels different for
Yeah.
each of us in a different way.
Yeah.
Um,
Razzle,
so
dazzle.
this the fact that this is all coming through next week really feels like a completion, a settling of this energy again. And if we stay mindful of the shadow work that we can do instead of projecting our anger when we're feeling riled up inside, taking that as an opportunity to do what Eleni said, do the shadow work, do the inner child work. If you don't know what that is, ask us, ask somebody you know, Google something, or just sit quietly because your spirit will lead you.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I would say go on an underworld journey, meet the fragmented parts of you, call all of the lost parts of you back home, remember yourself, right? Like the myth in Isis and Osiris, remember yourself, all right? Call back the parts of you that you have forsaken, forgotten, judged, belittled, and abandoned. So meet them with grace and love and compassion. And then as you move up, as we kind of progress throughout the week, bring in that love, bring in that fire, transmute that into the sun, give it up to the light, give it up to source, the sun, God, consciousness, angels, whatever you believe in. Call on Sekhmet, call on Kali, call on whatever other deities you want to call on that has that natural, fiery, fierce, light-filled energy that can help you to dissolve these things that are no longer helpful.
Mm.
So that when you're on the other end of that, you can then, towards the end of the week, you can then integrate that into, because again, it's healing. It's healing. Virgo is healing. So healing that,
Mm.
bringing softness and healing to the body, being in that body, being in, taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself, Mother Mary energy, right? That's very Virgo nature, actually. So you can do all of these kinds of things. And then towards like that Sunday, that weekend energy, it's like, okay, boom, we're in it. And I'm no longer carrying the wounds of my past with me because I've I've sat with them, I've looked at them, I've met these aspects of myself, I've healed them, I've welcomed them home, I've brought them into the heart of the light. And then I can, I've spent time healing these parts of myself, nurturing, giving love to myself, taking care of myself, my body, my emotional body, my mental body, my physical body, and my energy body. So that when Sunday and all of these big configurations happen, I'm in balance.
I can just receive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I think the notice, like the lack of balance was the thing that was getting in the way of just being soft and receptive
Yeah.
to life. And when we're soft and receptive to life, we can let the experiences that feel damaging, we can let them go more easily rather than gripping them and making them our identity as happened in the past. So now we have the consciousness to allow experience and to learn from it rather than be damaged by it. I feel like that's a big transformation that's underway.
So there's really cool ways that we can work with this. Like I say, do your shadow work, meet these parts of self, journal on the questions that we've already spoken about, and look at all the different places within yourself where you've denied your gifts. Oh no, I'm not autistic, I'm not this, I'm not that, blah 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 blah. Like all the stories you have around what
Maybe
you're not,
like what you
right?
just said was great, like following your I nots.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not this. Well, that's a gateway right there.
Yeah, exactly. So look at these
Yeah,
things,
absolutely. Thank
start
you.
to play with them this week, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, sit under the new moon and bring some new things into that emotional body. Create a new emotional atmosphere for you to create from and cultivate from. Bring in that Leo energy, call on the sun, bring in that heat, that love, that soul consciousness, that light, that strength, that power. And then towards the end of the week, do the healing, work with the body, integrate, soften, bring in that abundance, that prosperity, that, really like that nurturing, caring earth mother energy. And then Sunday we blow our circuits. I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. I don't know. I feel like I'm really excited because like I want to do something. I know that I want to do something. I want to do something on that day. But what that something is, I don't know yet. And I'm going to wait patiently for my guides or my people to be like, hey, let's do this thing. But I definitely want to host like a free event or some kind of a something on the day. But I will see what happens. Well, who knows? But I know it's a day that I don't want to sit on this day. Like, this is
Yeah,
not the
absolutely.
day that I want to be like, whatever, I'll Netflix
Right.
and chill. Like, no, that's not this day. I really
Well,
want to do something on this day, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm still feeling and waiting for information to come. So,
yeah. In my town, we'll be starting the day with some yoga on the beach. So I think that's a good start. Whatever you're going to be doing, I'll be there for that. So, um,
yeah. So that's it really from my side. So
transformational
thank
week.
you. Yeah, exactly. I
Thank
feel like
you.
every week, every astrology from 2024, basically 25, I would say 25, 26, 27. It's big. It's not small little,
Repetitive,
yeah,
same stuff.
like there's a lot of stuff that's happening astrologically, and I don't know that we're fully consciously aware of what, like, I feel like so much is happening that our human intelligence doesn't quite fully know how to process the galactic universal intelligence that is at play at this time.
Yeah. Well, understandably so. We would probably be like, even more
Yeah.
so. But we're like, we're getting the pieces that are for us to work with our 3D for our evolution. And that's what's necessary. That's why
Yes,
we're here.
precisely.
Awesome.
All right, honey, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Please do remember to like and comment and share and subscribe. And you're welcome to leave us any feedback, or if you have any questions, or if you would like us to speak about particular topics, or planetary aspects, or planets, or archetypes. If you have any insights or information that you would like us to know or include in our weekly videos, any recommendations that you have, we would be super grateful and very happy to
Yep. Anything that is said that does not yet feel clear, please let us know. Yeah, any of that stuff. Thank you so much for being
hear
here. Thank
everyone.
you. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.